What's up, guys? Clavette here for Clavette's Corner, and it's week 4 over here. We're wrapping up Work It Out, my new single out on Deeproot. We've got to wrap this thing up. I don't have any more time to give you. But before we go, we're going to talk about the vocals, we're going to talk about the effects, and then I'm going to show you what's going on the stereo bus. A lot to cover, and without further ado, let's jump into Ableton and take a look. What's up, guys? We are here in Ableton. We're going to wrap up Work It Out. We're going to go through the vocals first, and then we're going to take a look at the effects, and then we might jump over to the final version 10 session where I mix down the record and just show you kind of what I've got going on in the stereo bus. So again, I like to really use elements to the absolute fullest, and what I mean by that is I'll use one element and kind of use it in different ways, and this is kind of what I did with the vocals. There was one line that I used, and then I used that section in different ways to create different sections, different rhythms, different kind of emotional pulls, and so forth. So the whole record revolves around this little tag. We've got to work it out. And this one. We've got to work it out. I'm tired of fearing the excuses. Your word don't mean nothing, it's useless. Useless, 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 useless. Which is a sample from Splice or Loop Masters, one of those. I believe I pitched this down a few semitones, so it's kind of got a less natural feel. It had kind of this R&B soulful thing kind of going on, which I look for a lot in vocals. Pairs really nice with house. It always has been. It's kind of rooted in the history of house music. So I did a little bit of processing, just kind of got rid of some low end, notched out a little problematic frequency, and then a little bit of compression. On top of that is this little effect. I don't know. I call it vocal effects. It's kind of a groove. It's again, I use this to hint that the vocal is coming in later. I use it to again create cohesion in the record because I'm using the same vocal, but I'm using it in a different way. So this is kind of like a chop, I guess you could say. Right, and I bury it with a filter and kind of push it down in the mix. The effect rack here from Sound Toys is applying a bunch of different effects, and I'll kind of show you what each of these is doing. So without anything, work it out, work it out, work it out. That's kind of, it's just repeating the work it out line. Decapitator. Work it out, work it out, work it out. Kind of brightening it up. I use the tone all the way to the bright max, so it's really emphasizing the top end of the sound. I'm using a T, which I can't remember what that's emulating, but I really liked the brightness that it added and how it was kind of shaping the sound. The tremolator here is what's giving it a little bit of motion. Work it out, work it out, work it out. It's adding some volume dips, it's panning the record, it's panning the sound back and forth, and then a little bit of Echo Boy. Work it out, work it out, That's doing almost like a slap back that kind of makes it sound super digital. Work it out, work it out. Just a taste, and that kind of does a similar thing, playing throughout different sections of the track, filtering up, filtering down. So I like doing this a lot too, is adding kind of these vocal, you can tell that's a vocal, but it's used almost as more percussion. So it's a little chop from a sample pack. The sample I basically looped and then kind of nudged sections of it back and forth until it kind of fit in the pocket of the groove a little better. This is what it sounds like without any processing. Very weird, right? So I'm gonna add the EQ to kind of control and shave off a little bit of top end. I'm using the DS to really get rid of that S that you hear there. Because I felt without the de-essing, the S was really bright and kind of affecting the groove of the hi-hats and some of my other percussion. And then the main part of the groove comes from this really intense side chaining. Kind of completely different sounding without the LFO tool on it. So that's how I created that groove. With a lot of delay, lots of shaved, I shaved the heck out of this with EQ. So that's what it sounds like. Here's the full thing. Again, I really wanted it moody and ambient and in the background, so I EQ'd it the way I did. Saturator to kind of add some level and some warmth, and then Echo Boy to... I think these are more of the same. Yeah, it's almost the same processing, so that those sound very similar. They're different samples from different packs, and I wanted them to sound really cohesive. So same processing, nothing different here. And then we got a little vocal one shot. Kind of a similar thing. It looks like that's from the same pack as this, doing same thing almost. Filtered down, sounds very similar. It gives everything like its same space, so it feels like you're coming from the same source because the processing is so similar. So from there, let's go into some of the effects. I mean, there's nothing crazy going on here. I use a lot of the same effects anyways. If you guys have seen any of these other episodes, I use that sound, that reverse cymbal, in almost every track. I love using this down sweep too. That's another good one. And it's just about layering and creating tension. So a lot of these are at points of release or points of tension building. The last thing I want to do for you guys is go into the final project and show you some of the stuff going on the stereo buzz. All right, so we are in the final version 10 of Work It Out now. This is the project that I mixed down the record completely in, and I just want to show you what's going on the master here. So the first thing I typically like to do is add a little bit of saturation. I find that saturation is great for gluing elements together, gluing the track together a little bit, and also adding some nice tone and color if you want it. So I love using Black Box from Plugin Alliance. This is a hardware unit that it's emulating. So to me, that added some really nice punch because I was emphasizing the low end of the frequency spectrum. Then I typically will go in with some EQ. So to me, what that's doing is it's brightening up the sound. It's making it sound a little more polished and removing some muddiness. Then I've got it going through the glue compressor. This is from Cytomic. This is a rather old plugin. I don't necessarily use this one anymore, but again, kind of like controlling, like the kick was almost too punchy here, and now it's kind of gelling it back into place. Hear how some of those cymbals are now a little more controlled in part of the record. I really like what that's doing there. Then I've got a little bit more of rebalancing. Again, kind of emphasizing more of that upper range of the mid-range and getting rid of some more mud. So unfortunately I can't play it for you because my computer is bugging out. But what this is doing is it's just controlling some of the resonant peaks, kind of in the lower mid-range, and then a little bit of the top end, controlling some of the cymbals and some of that stuff. And then finally, I've got the BX Digital. This is adding just a little bit of stereo width. And that's about it. A little bit of width in the mid-range as well. So that's it, guys. That is all she wrote for Work It Out. I want to thank you for sticking around to the end of the series. I really, really have been so fortunate to have a great response on this record with support from David Guetta, Sister Bliss of Faithless, Mark Volt, Marsh. A lot of people have supported this record, and this isn't even out by the time that I'm recording this. So it's been really exciting to watch this. I want to thank you for watching this series. If you have any more questions or anything you'd like to see, hit me up in the comments below. Hit me up in my DMs. I'm always listening. I'm always here to answer your guys' questions and to make more content that helps you guys improve or learn a little bit more about me or my process. So again, for Clavette's Corner, I'm Clavette. I want to thank you for watching. We'll see you next time, guys. Peace.